Hello, hello. I'm Sasha of Sasha Makes Cards, and today I'm here with Whimsy Stamps sharing a Christmas card made with some non-Christmas supplies featuring the Over the Moon's clear stamp set, the Yay Word and Shadow die set, as well as the Polaroid die. Now, I love shopping for seasonal crafting supplies, whether this is Halloween, Christmas. I love shopping for them during the season. I love shopping for them all year round. But it is also fun to use what you have for different seasons and different occasions than what they may be meant for. So today I'm going to be taking the Over the Moon clear stamp set, which features a lot of different aliens meant for a birthday card, as they kind of feature party hats, presents, a birthday cake, birthday sentiments, and I'm going to be putting it on a Christmas card. So I decided to take one of the images from the stamp set, the super happy looking alien with his arms in the air celebrating. I stamped him onto a 100-pound hammermill cardstock, which is an alcohol marker friendly cardstock, using the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, which is an alcohol marker friendly ink. I then fussy cut the image out and also prepared some of the other elements that I'm going to be using for this card. I then die cut the Polaroid die from a scrap piece of white cardstock and trimmed off the excess using a guillotine trimmer so that I was left with just one Polaroid frame. And then, since I am creating a Christmas themed card, but I'm not using any Christmas supplies, I want to have a Christmas sentiment. But if I'm not using Christmas supplies, I don't have any Christmas themed sentiments to stamp. So I did something very easy. It's just not something I've done before, as I've been too scared to do it in how my handwriting will look, and that is write out my own sentiment. To do this, all I did was take a black pen. I used my personal favorite black pen when it comes to writing, which is the Zebra Sarasa pen. It's just a ballpoint pen, and wrote out the sentiment, "It's Christmas," so that when the whole card is put together, the entire sentiment will read, "Yay, it's Christmas." The fun thing is, if you're writing your own sentiment, you can really personalize it, customize it to whoever you're sending it to, and it adds a special touch that sometimes you just don't get if you're stamping out your sentiments. Now, to color the alien image, I used Ohuhu alcohol markers, which are the markers I always use, and I used my go-to green color combination. I'm sure I've shared it many times before, but it's a good one, so I always go back to it. And that, starting from my darkest color, working my lightest color, I start with G7, then G470, then G190, next is G170, and then G130. And since I wanted to make this super Christmassy, I decided to use a red alcohol marker. For this, I'm using R2, and I am turning the Polaroid frame into a candy cane themed Polaroid frame. Now, if you can't already tell, I am going for the classic Christmas red and green color scheme for this card because I'm using supplies that isn't specifically Christmas related. I'm using a birthday themed stamp set. I thought using a red and green, very classic go to Christmas color scheme would help get the point across that the card is indeed a Christmas card. To add the stripes to the Polaroid frame, I just took the red marker and simply drew stripes across it. You could also use some colored washi tape if you have that laying around. You can mask it off using the No Fuss masking sheets and do some ink blending. It is totally up to you how you want to do this. Now, before I move on to creating the background, I die cut the Yay word and shadow die from some scrap pieces of white cardstock and ink blended them using the Candied Apple Distress Oxide. I used a detail blending brush to create a subtle fade on the Yay sentiment, and then for the shadow die, I die cut it twice. One is going to stay just the plain white that I die cut it in, and then the other one I ink blend it around the edges in the same Candied Apple Distress Oxide so that the shadow can have a slight offset to it. Once I was ready, and because I didn't want to lose the letters in the sentiment, I used some liquid adhesive to glue the letters right onto the shadow and then the shadow onto another shadow to create that offset. Whenever I'm working with the die cuts that have the shadow die, I love die cutting the shadow twice and then adding an offset. It really just adds a little extra something to your cards, and I think it's really fun to do. Whimsy Stamps offers a ton of different word dies that I think would be perfect to use for Christmas themed cards, even if they are not necessarily meant originally for a Christmas card. There's the OMG word and shadow die set, the hello word and shadow die set, the WTF word and shadow die set, the Wowzers word and shadow die set. You could even use the Eek word and shadow die set so that it could say Eek, it's Christmas. There are so many possibilities, and I think it'd be really fun to play around with him. To create the background, I used the Mowed Lawn Distress Oxide and the Candied Apple Distress Oxide to create gradient of both red and green inks on both the top and bottom of my card. Now, I was originally only going to create a green background so that then it could be a green alien with the red candy cane Polaroid and the red yay sentiment. However, as I was doing it, and you can see I even had the Twisted Citron out, I was going to create a gradient of Mowed Lawn and Twisted Citron, but as I was doing it, I didn't, and I was kind of playing around with the placement of the different elements. I wasn't really all that happy with just the green, so I wanted to try the green on the bottom and the red on the top. First, I really did think it looked a little too summery. I thought it kind of looked like a watermelon, but I kept going with it, and in the end, I think it worked out pretty well. Even watching it back, I still feel it looks a little bit like a watermelon. But once the image and the sentiment and the Polaroid frame are all on, I can definitely say it looks a lot more Christmassy. It doesn't look so summery. But if you want to make a watermelon themed card, I guess this is also one way you could do it. To finish off the background, I then splattered using a fan brush some water and some bleed proof white paint directly onto the card. And to officially finish the entire card off, I just used some liquid adhesive and glued down all the different elements to the card background that I just created. And that is the completed card project. Be sure to check out the description below for a complete list of the different Whimsy stamp supplies I used to create this card, as well as with links to shop if you would like, and to check out my social media and the Whimsy Stamp social media. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.